On the president's orders, a photograph of a beaten slave is being removed from all national parks, including Harper's Ferry National Historic Park in West Virginia.
The Washington Post reports the administration has ordered multiple national parks to remove information about slavery, which is part of Trump's order to eliminate, quote, corrosive ideology.
We want the museums to talk about the history of our country in a fair manner, not in a woke manner or in a racist manner.
But this latest purge includes the removal of history at Harper's Ferry Park in West Virginia, where the abolitionist John Brown led a raid to attempt to arm slaves for a revolt. And also this iconic photograph known as the Scourged Back. It depicts a slave, likely named Peter Gordon, in 1863 and the wounds inflicted by his abusers.
What more great American story is there than the survival and triumph over enslavement, Jim Crow, and the repercussions therefrom?
The Smithsonian Museums and President Trump have very different views on how to tell American history. In March, Trump signed an executive order targeting Smithsonian Institution for divisive, race-centered ideology. And in August, the White House began reviewing its exhibitions. Museum of American History's mission is to reflect, quote, the complexity of our past. They showcase historical achievements alongside darker chapters. On a recent Truth Social post, he writes, everything discussed is how horrible our country is, how bad slavery was.
I say this a number of times, your First Amendment isn't just the speech that I say, it isn't just the clothes that I wear, it's also my ability to acquire and access speech specifically in public places. And so in these locations that he's talking about, like in national museums or national parks, this is a public forum, a public location that I as a United States citizen should have access to be able to see and acquire these types of things. And so the removal, because that's what it is, not as the national park spokesman said, this isn't a removal. This is a chance for us to give balance and to give historical context rather than outright erasure. I am not sure how it is. I mean, if you're removing these images, you got to remember at the time when this image was taken, 1863, folks in the North didn't believe this was happening. And so you didn't have photos, you didn't have any images. If you didn't travel to the South and see it for yourself, it's like the kids say today, if you don't have a photo, it didn't exist, it didn't happen. In the era of Reconstruction, right after we come out of Reconstruction, there was a huge push. I'm talking about a serious push with this lost cause narrative to disconnect the Civil War from slavery. That, hey, this wasn't a big thing, that the slave owners were nice, and the enslaved people, they were happy, loyal, and content. That narrative was pushed all the way throughout Reconstruction. So then when we fast forward to the 20th century, all the way up into the 1960s, books in the South specifically that they were reading were saying that slavery was just benign. It was this little thing that happened. It wasn't until the Civil Rights Act in 1960s that you had folks saying, okay, we got to stop attempting to erase this history. And so now this is just a reoccurrence of the pushback, because before that time, there was really no mentioning of these types of things.